Can the Arizona Cardinals get out of the literal and figurative desert and shock the NFL in 2023? Find out in this Arizona Cardinals 2023 season outlook.
ATL Jacob.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Shantz. We're going to continue in our series and talk about the final NFC division, the NFC West, and what better place to start off in the desert than the Arizona Cardinals, who in 2021 made the playoffs as a record of 11-6. They were a 5 seed, and then the script completely flipped. Injuries and play calling and a lot of different things plagued their season in 2022. At one point, this team was 4-6 after beating the Los Angeles Rams, and then they lose their last 7 games of the season. They just couldn't get it right. Kyler Murray tears his ACL week 14 against the Patriots on Monday Night Football. DeAndre Hopkins is in and out in the lineup. Just stuff was very, very inconsistent for them as a whole. Cliff Kingsbury was in and out of it. It was just a lot of dysfunction that went on with the Arizona Cardinals this season. They fired Cliff Kingsbury. They got a new head coach in Johnathan Gannon coming over from the Philadelphia Eagles to try to change around this identity. They had some front office moves, some pretty significant ones as well. So this is going to be a new look Cardinals team, and let's take a look at what they'll be adding and what they lost going into the 2023 season. So the Cardinals lose Joshua Miles to Atlanta and Zach Allen to Denver. But Johnathan Gannon, the new head coach from Philadelphia, brings over some of his guys, Zach Pascal, the receiver, and then they bring over Kaiser White, the linebacker. LJ Collier comes from Seattle, a playoff team, and Rashad Fenton comes from Atlanta as well. But the biggest offseason move that happened was DeAndre Hopkins getting released. He's now out looking for a new team. He did not have that great of a season last year, wasn't really on the field a whole lot, and obviously was an all-pro receiver the 2 years that he was there playing fully and healthy. So a big loss there, and we'll see what goes on with the Arizona offense. The Cardinals offense is under new direction in 2023. Incoming Drew Petzing, who was coaching for the Cleveland Browns the last 3 years, became the quarterback's coach in 2022, and now the chance to run an offense in Arizona in 2023. Taking over at quarterback for right now, until Kyler Murray gets back, is Colt McCoy. Completed about 68% of his passes, had a touchdown to 3 interceptions. Wasn't entirely great down the stretch. The entire team wasn't. They lost 7 straight. James Conner at running back was a bright spot, had less than 200 carries, but had over 750 rushing yards, had 7 touchdowns, 46 catches out of the backfield. Hollywood Brown, 67 catches. You had Rondell Moore, Greg Dortch, Zach Ertz all had over 40 catches. They re-signed Greg Dortch this year. He was a spark plug in that receiver room, so hopefully they can do some more things with moving him around and getting him the ball a bit more. Hollywood Brown, a big play receiver. Hopefully they get some more opportunities and looks that they want to see in this new offense. Rondell Moore was a second-round pick a couple years back, and hopefully they can see him get some fire in him and see how this receiving core shakes out. It's a bunch of smaller guys, but it's a lot of speed. So maybe they can, play to their advantage, and Petzing can do his thing when it comes to working the play call magic. I do want to say this, though. I think the unnecessary slander of Kyler Murray needs to stop. We look at, Kyler Murray's contract. It's a big contract. It's not attractive right now. It really isn't. But I'll say this. When your quarterback over 4 years throws for over 13,000 yards, completes 66% of his passes, 84 touchdowns and 41 interceptions, and has over a 90 rating for his career, I think that's pretty big stuff. Not a whole lot of quarterbacks can do that. I will say, you look at Kyler Murray, and before we entered last season, people were saying this guy was a top 10 quarterback, or you want to say top 12 quarterback. He's fallen down a lot of lists, down to 20, 25. It's absolutely absurd. I get the ACL injury. Last year he had 14 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, had an 87 passer rating, completed 66% of his passes. I think it's ridiculous to have this narrative that, he doesn't study his film, so he just sucks. It's not that. Obviously, if he studies his film, he could be better than what he is right now. But I just think the narrative is really dumb that it's Kyler Murray is just not this good quarterback. And there are a lot of people out there that think Kyler Murray is still a good quarterback. He may run like a toddler or look like a toddler, but he makes some big-time plays. Hail Murray, for example, 2020, I don't have to really explain that. You guys have seen it before. But I just think we need to pump the brakes on the Kyler Murray talk and just let the guy get back to his play, and then just appreciate what Kyler Murray can do out in the desert. And maybe Arizona can make some noise on offense this year. For this Cardinals defense, I don't know what to expect this year. They bring over Nick Rallis, 29-year-old from the Philadelphia Eagles, under the direction of Johnathan Gannon. So we'll see a similar liking of this Eagles defense when it comes to formations and stuff like that. The Cardinals do have some very versatile pieces in Zaven Collins, who had about 100 tackles last year, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and INT. And then they have Isaiah Simmons, who they can move around. They can use him as a pass rusher. They can drop him in the coverage. They can use him as a middle linebacker. They can do a lot of things with him. The versatility is there. He had 99 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. So they have versatile pieces on this team. I'm just looking at the rest of the guys, a lot of them proven guys. LJ Collier comes from Seattle, didn't really do a whole lot last year. Carlos Watkins, Rashad Lawrence up front. Myjai Sanders, Kaiser White does come from Philly. He's a big part of their potential success. You know, he was a big signing in this offseason. Cameron Thomas, 3 sacks last year for the Cardinals. Rashad Fenton comes from Atlanta. He had 28 tackles, 2 passes defended. He was on some very good Chiefs teams and knows how to win, so hopefully he can bring some of that over to Arizona. Budda Baker, the big-time safety, who has a very nice contract there, 111 tackles, 2 interceptions, 7 passes defended. Jalen Thompson had a big year as well, 110 tackles, and he had an interception, 8 passes defended, so the safety duo back there, pretty good. Macro Wilson, 58 tackles, 3 interceptions, 10 passes defended. This Cardinals secondary has some experience, and it's, on its way to, maybe be one of the better secondaries in the National Football League. They move Isaiah Simmons around. Maybe he's a nickelback, whatever position he plays. I mean, he's going to cover some guys out of the backfield. You got Zaven Collins, like I mentioned before. Is he going to play outside? Is he going to play inside? What's the deal with that? So there's just a lot of questions with this Cardinals defense, and there's a lot of chess pieces that they can move around and try to construct a new young defense and see what happens with it. The Arizona Cardinals are one of 4 teams in the National Football League that do not have any primetime games this year. One of their biggest games on their slate early on in the season is Week 3 against the Dallas Cowboys at 4:25. Not often the boys come out to the desert, even though that's where a Cowboy works, is in the desert. So they're going to go out to Arizona Week 3. The lowest ticket on Vivid Seats is $131 compared to all the other home games that are right around $25, $30, $40. So obviously it's a big deal. Their Week 1 opponent, the Washington Commanders, they actually play 3 straight NFC East opponents to start their season off before playing Philadelphia the last day of 2023. So their first opponent, the Washington Commanders, 1 o'clock, Fox in Washington. What's Arizona got to do? They got to survive the Washington pass rush. They got to make some quick hitters early on in the game. They just got to weather the storm and then just stand in at the end and make some big plays down the stretch when it comes to winning a game on the road before coming back home to play 2 straight in your home building. Prediction, record-wise, I'm just looking at it. This is a rebuilding team, bringing in a new head coach, not a whole lot of pieces, injured quarterback. I will say, I know I was talking about Kyler Murray and how good he's been, but could he be on his way out? There's a lot of questions that could come after the season or during the season if the Cardinals do start 0-5 or 1-5, 1-6. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff that could come from that. We don't know when Kyler Murray's coming back. We don't know any of that stuff. I see them winning around 3 to 5 games max. I think that they could end up getting number 1 overall pick, and with the trade they made with the Texans, they could get top 2 picks at this rate. So there's a whole lot to be determined there. If they do get one of those top 2 picks, I think they're going to take a quarterback. So that's going to be some offseason talk right there, depending on what happens. We don't know what will, but if that ends up being the case, if the prediction goes through, Arizona, they have a lot of growth that they could make this season, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do when Kyler Murray comes back, and if they can prove some people wrong and win a little bit more than what everybody thought in year 1 under Johnathan Gannon.